Hi everybody, this is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the baseball head. Hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we're just sort of waiting around till spring training. So we will have a pretty good idea very quickly what's going to happen with Pete Alonso. I think we'll probably know within the next 2 weeks whether he'll be with the Mets. The chances now going back up. I think the chances of him coming back here are going up. They've been sort of going up and down, up and down, up and down. But I think the chances of him coming back are going back up. But a new team sort of was mentioned by John Heyman, and that is the Cincinnati Reds. He mentioned the Cincinnati Reds during the Bleacher Report show that he has, which I don't see that. Although that would be a great place to hit home runs for him. That's for sure. But a couple of things. Yes, a couple of things. First of all, earlier today, the Mets re-signed Ryan Stanton to a one-year deal for $4.5 million, I think. $5 million. And that's great because the Mets are solidifying their bullpen. They're going to have a good bullpen this year. And I expect Edwin Diaz to have a big year. I think I've mentioned a few times that he has an opt-out after this season. So he's going to be really very motivated to have a big year for the Mets. So just keep an eye on that. With AJ Minter in here, with Stanek here, with Daniel Nunez coming back, Reed Garrett coming back, the Mets going to have a very strong bullpen. I wonder if this keeps them out of the market of getting Tim Hill, which we've discussed here to a certain degree. But it seems the Mets are still looking for pitching. Now, there's been sort of this rumor about them talking to Jack Flaherty, who's not a bad idea. I wouldn't sign him to more than a one-year deal. Nick Pivetta, who has a qualifying offer on him that the Red Sox put on him, but that's really held his market down. People believe that he's going to be one of these sort of pitchers that could break out. I think the Mets kind of look at him like that. With that qualifying offer, I don't know if the Mets will pick him up. Signed to a contract. It would be for more than 1 year, certainly. But apparently the Mets have been talking to the Padres on Michael King and Dylan Cease, which they're very good pitchers, both of them. Both are going to be free agents after this season. The Padres have a lot of internal problems, having a lot of ownership problems because the Seidler family are fighting. And, of course, as you know, Peter Seidler, the owner, passed away. So they're sort of going back and forth. And there's nothing worse than when the owners are fighting each other. Which is what would have happened if the Mets had got sold to Alex Rodriguez, Jennifer Lopez. They weren't even together when they wanted to buy the Mets. But we would have had some disaster if we had those two here. But SNY's Zach Scott put out a proposed trade for Michael King. Now, a couple of things about Michael King. He was with the Yankees for many, many years. He was the centerpiece behind the trade for Juan Soto. But he was in the bullpen all those years. Now, last year, the Padres started him, had a very good season. He does not have a lot of innings under his belt because of the fact that he pitched in the bullpen for the Yankees for most of his career. And he got his shot to be a starter last year. He is a guy that, in my view, would be someone very enticing for the Mets to bring in here because he could pitch this year, and I could see David Stearns giving him a long-term deal, a 3 or 4 year deal, because just based on the fact that there's not a lot of innings under his belt. He's 29 years old, be 30 years old at some point in the next year, but he doesn't have a lot of innings under him. So that, to me, is a very interesting idea. Now, the proposed trade, which I think some people are poo-pooing it, but I know the Mets farm system pretty well now, since really studying over the last year and a half. What the Mets would send the Padres would be Jose Butto, who's Mets reliever, long man, somebody that could start for the Padres. They would throw him in the rotation right away. That would be of the three players proposing this deal, he would be the toughest to swallow. because he's pitched really well. He pitched really well last year, and he pitched really well at the end of 2023 in the rotation. The other player, and he's a prospect, and he's in the minor leagues, and that's Drew Gilbert, who's the Mets' #3 best prospect, according to, I guess, SNY. He has sort of taken a step back a little bit on other boards. So that is sort of, but he's a very good prospect. Really, where's he going to play? And there's only one position where he could play, and that's center field with the Mets right now. Unless the Mets decide to do some moving around with the pieces. Now he's got a chance to be an everyday player this year. And be a player in the majors. But how good he is, it's sort of a question mark, considering that he has dropped in the eyes of a lot of people. But he is a good prospect. You got to give up something to get something. The final player in this proposed trade is Jonah Tong. Now, Jonah Tong is the 10th best prospect according to SNY. But here's the thing about Jonah. He pitched really great last year. But prior to that, he wasn't really much of a prospect. Because entering last year, his walk rate was through the roof. He was not rated at all by anybody in Major League Baseball. He was a guy they drafted, I think, 2022. And really, he has struggled with his command. Now, he's been able to sort of really fly up these boards to where he's probably the Mets' second best pitching prospect. I would not have a problem giving this up, this trade. Dylan Cease, I'm not nearly as big on Dylan Cease as other people are. But Michael King I'm very interested in because he's pitched really well. And he can handle New York. Pitch well in New York. So though he has some pluses that I can't determine if Dylan Cease has that. Although I would mention Dylan Cease when he was really good with the White Sox. They were a good team. He pitched for Tony La Russa there. And he pitched really well. But this is not a bad proposal, to be honest with you. And like I said, I know the Mets farm system really well. They really don't have any elite players. They have some good players. If they have guys that are elite, the closest you'll get is Brandon Sprout, and he was drafted 2 years ago, and Jet Williams, who they drafted 3 years ago now. So you got, and he missed most of the season. I'm going to mention about Drew Gilbert. He missed most of the year last year. But this is the closest the Mets have to any kind of big prospects is really Jet Williams and Brandon Sprout. And everybody else is pretty good, but then no elite players. That's the one thing about the Mets farm system. It's good. It's got some depth in the infield, a lot of depth in the infield, sporadic pitching, not a lot of depth in the outfield. To be quite frankly, they do have some depth behind the plate, but this is not a bad proposal. I don't think it's as deep of a cut as you would expect. But this is a player that, and Michael Caine, that has a year left on his contract. He only has 1 year starting full-time in the major. So that's kind of why, dig deeper with the Mets farm system. You don't get a Luis Angel Acuna in this deal. You don't get Brandon Sprout or Jet Williams. So, but you let me know what you think about this trade, what you think about this video. And of course, if you send me a super thanks, I will give you a shout out in a future video. I'll also give you a shout out if you become a member of the channel. That super thanks I got from PokeMet the other day goes an enormous way to getting a new computer. I have my eyes on a Mac computer, an Apple Mac, because the Apple Mac has its own built-in editing system and video recording system. Most computers do anyway, but that has sort of a basic editing system called iMovie. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So just so you know. So thank you for watching this video. Please, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.